Good morning and welcome back to the channel. Today my brother and I are taking an early morning trip to Tunnel 13, the site of the most famous train holdup in Oregon. The year was 1923. It was October the 11th. And brothers Ray, Roy, and Hugh d'Outremont, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, attempted to rob a Southern Pacific Railroad train at Tunnel 13 high in the Oregon Siskiyou Mountains. I have been to Tunnel 13 probably 4 or 5 times in my life, but I haven't been there for a long time, so I'm looking forward to this trip. The brothers attempted to rob the mail car thinking that there was money or gold on board, which there was not, and ultimately 4 men were killed during this robbery. And ultimately it took almost 4 years for the manhunt to catch the 3 brothers. Twin brothers Ray and Roy were 23 years old in 1923, and their younger brother was Hugh. So where my brother and I are heading today is going to be the north entrance to the tunnel, and is very high in the Siskiyou Mountains. The trip up to the tunnel is quite steep, and it took some time for the engine to be able to pull the cars up there. And somewhere down below the tunnel, before they got to it, the brothers had hid out, and as the train slowly passed by on its way to the north entrance of the tunnel, they jumped on board and took over the train. And they got it stopped right at the north entrance. And that's where we are going to be visiting at the north entrance. The tunnel was completed in 1887. So the morning of the robbery, Brother Ray was on the west side of the tunnel, the south side, which we won't be visiting today, while the other 2 brothers had stopped the train at the north entrance. They then forced the engineer to drive the train through the tunnel and stop at the south side, the west entrance, where Ray was at. Ray had quite a bit of dynamite, and they were going to blow open a mail car where they thought there would be money, but there was not any money. The postal clerk that was in there locked himself in. His name was Evelyn Doherty, and in order to get in there, they used the entire box, apparently, of dynamite to blow open the door on the mail car, and it ended up killing Mr. Doherty. As you can see by this picture, they destroyed the mail car pretty well, and unfortunately for them, they discovered there was no currency or gold in the car, so that ended this so-called train robbery. But they would ultimately be caught some years later and go to jail for the 4 murders that happened on this day. You ever sell your 357? Oh, I did a long time ago. Oh. More than a year, yeah.
Sell it to your buddy that couldn't get a...
Nope, because I had to do it legally. Yeah. All right, we are up here at Tunnel 13. This area used to be part of the train yard. There used to be tracks over here way back in 100 or so years ago, and now here's where the little town area used to be. When I was up here before, all these ties weren't here. They've been doing a lot of work somewhere, and probably in the northern California side. And the sun is finally starting to come up. Look at that. So I had forgotten that there was more than one track up here. This, of course, is the main line. This is the same line that when I go over to the train yard, that's where I go. It's just miles and miles away. It does look like it does get used occasionally. You can always tell by the amount of rust. I wondered if they were using this for a long time. Way back in the 1990s, I guess it was, or maybe 80s, this tunnel was shut down because somebody started a fire in there and it burned for a long, long time. Well, my brother's coming now, and I'm making my way towards the tunnel. It'll be interesting walking there a little ways, but I'm not going very far. This tunnel is very dangerous because it's really long, and if you were to try to walk through it, get like halfway in it, and suddenly a train comes from either way, you would have a hard time getting out of there in time. And there's nothing they can do, you know. You would be overcome by diesel smoke, and you know, who knows, you might even get run over. But I don't plan to go in there very far at all. We would hear a train. If a train were coming up from the north, coming this way, we would know it. We'd hear it, because those are big diesel electrics, and there would be multiple engines to get up here. But if a train were coming the other way, we wouldn't know it until it was appeared in the tunnel. That's kind of scary. Initially, my first time coming up here was with an old friend, and that would have been back in the early 1980s. And we come up here, and that was before the fire happened. And the last time I came up here, the tunnel was closed because of the fire. So there were no trains running up here at all, and the tracks were all rusted over. Now they look like they might have been used yesterday. Yeah. Yeah. We're near pretty far. I'm not going to go any farther than this. Smells very powerfully of diesel smoke. So before, the reason it caught on fire is there were timbers. This was all timbers. And of course, they had to do a bunch of repair after the fire. But since then, they have coated it with, that's like spray on concrete or whatever it is. Whatever that might be. Yeah. Well, this is the famous Tunnel 13. It's a very, very long tunnel. Okay, well, we're going to be heading back pretty quick, or at least I am. My brother wants to go on a little bit farther, but my GoPro battery is just about dead, so I got to go get a fresh one and then put this one on the charger for the rest of our journey. We're going to head up to the ski area from here, and then from there we're going to go as far as we can, try to get to Dutchman's Peak Lookout. That's a federal lookout that I haven't been to for years and years. So we're making a whole day of this. Well, my brother's over here exploring. I'm back here at the car. I've got my battery charger charging up my old GoPro battery. The sun is finally starting to come up. So it's starting to warm up here finally. Say goodbye to Tunnel 13.